Hey everybody, Tekken 101 here. Now look, I get asked a lot of questions about the Bleach series. I'm sure you can figure that. I talked about the thing for over 5 goddamn years. So I get asked everything from like really simple questions for, hey Tekken, who's your favorite Bleach character? It'd be like Rukia. Who's your least favorite? Soifone. All the way to really, you know, extensive theories about the series that involve a very in-depth knowledge of characters and Kubo's writing style and shit like that. And by the way, I gotta thank people that, you know, actually take time out of their day to sit down and type out like a short story of a theory, you know, and they really go in, like, you might say it's overthinking, probably a lot of it is, but I couldn't see myself doing that. I couldn't sit down, and I do like the series, but I couldn't sit down and write out, like, an entire, like, you know, paragraph upon paragraph of, like, a theory on Aizen's Bankai or something like that. It's just not how I do things. But I also get asked, particularly in the final months of Bleach, I get asked, Tekken, what do you think was the biggest disappointment in the Bleach series? What do you think, you know, got you the most hyped, and then you just got that taken away from you? And it's probably not what you think. If you've seen the title of this video and the thumbnail, you already know what the fuck I'm gonna say. But it wasn't like the final battle with Yuha, or we didn't get to see Aizen's Bankai, or Ichigo's Bankai turned to shit, or anything like that. Oh, no. It's nothing like that. This was far before that. This was before we got into, like the final battle with the Schutzstaffen and moving on to, like, okay, this is, you know, the final battle of the series. This was long before that. This was probably back in, like, end of 2013, beginning of 2014. And I didn't realize it at the time, but this would be the last time we would get to see the Zero Squad. That's right. Remember these guys? Zero Squad? Maybe you might have forgotten. Let me refresh your memory. Okay, so way back in the Turn Back the Pendulum arc, we had a lot of stuff going on. We had the past of a lot of characters, and we didn't understand how the past worked back then, right? We didn't understand that we didn't, you know, the fact that the Vizards used to be captains, like, that was a big shocker. Okay, we didn't know that yet. All right, we didn't know how that worked. You know, we got to see what the Soul Society was like 100 years ago, which captains were there, which weren't there. We got to see Uehara, how he became a captain. Like, Turn Back the Pendulum dropped a lot of shit on us, okay? Not the least of which being, I think it was in the very first chapter of Turn Back the Pendulum, where they bring up that the 12th Division captain has left their post, and that is why the spot was open for Uehara to take the test and become the new captain of Squad 12. But they was like, okay, Squad 12 is gone. You know, where did Kiryu Hikifune go? And they were thinking, oh, maybe she got promoted to the Central 46, and I've never heard of that happening before. And then Shunsui shows up, and he's like, oh no, he's super freaking cool with it. He's like, oh no, she didn't get sent to the Central 46. She got sent to the Royal Guard. And it was like, boom! It was like, yeah, there's a Zero Division. There's a Royal Guard. There's an entire division focused around protecting the Soul King. Just tuck that in the back of your knee breeches, or whatever the hell you're wearing, because I'm not going to talk about that for years, Kubo's saying. You know, don't worry about it right now, but I just wanted to drop it on you. There's a fucking Zero Division. Oh yeah, boy. So, years go by, literally years, with that one offhand comment by Shunsui. I think Shunsui was literally the only person who even mentioned it. Okay? I don't even think Aizen mentioned it at all. It's weird, actually, that Aizen maybe didn't have a contingency plan for, you know, his whole goal was try to get into the Royal Guard and kill the Soul King, so I don't know if he had a contingency plan for the Zero Squad. You'd think he would have mentioned them once or twice. But I'm pretty sure Shunsui was the only person that mentioned it, and it was that one offhand comment that the fandom went fucking nuts. You know, over the next, I think it was like, Turn Back the Pendulum was like, shit, 2008? 2007? Probably 2008. I would say probably around 2008. You know, we didn't find out what the freaking they even were until 2012. So we're talking like 4-5 years here. Okay? Every theory you can possibly imagine, everything, talking about them. There was so much buildup, but everybody came to the conclusion that no matter what the Zero Squad was going to turn out to be, who was in it, how many there were, what their duties were, everyone came to the consensus, these guys are going to be badass. Alright? I wanted to build this up to you, though. I wanted to try to simulate the amount of hype that existed for the Zero Squad. Because this was right around the time I was getting into this series. 2008, 2009, that is right around the time I started reading Bleach on a weekly basis. That's when I started reading the manga. That's when I started, you know, going around on the forums and reading Bleach theories and shit. That's when I started really getting into the crux of this story, following it. And, yeah, so I just want to let everybody know the amount of hype that was built up for these dudes. Okay, so, Fei Karakura Town arc ends. Fullbring arc goes through it, ends. Get to the final arc. Like, alright, this is it. Final arc. They're gonna show up. This shit's gonna happen this arc. First time they're mentioned is after, right around the time the first invasion's about to leave, right around the time Yuha is about to head back to the Vandenreich, the Silburn. He mentions to Hashwolf, he's like, all right, we trashed the Seirete, Zero Squad's gonna come down, we're gonna retreat for now, and then we're gonna come back later. I'm thinking, oh shit, Yuha, strategic, Quincy, King, Jesus, whatever the fuck. He's like, all right, we trashed the Seirete, we better retreat for now because the Zero Squad's gonna show up. We don't want to deal with those guys right now. We better retreat and figure out our plan. So even Yuha didn't want to deal with those guys right away. So we're like, oh man, it's gonna happen. Zero Squad appear, and you know what? They had very interesting appearances. I don't think it was what anyone was really expecting, but that's fine. That's just Kubo. You know, I don't think anyone, well, maybe a few people were like, that's the Zero Squad, really? But I think a lot of people were still pretty hyped at this point. Like, oh my god. Because at the end of the day, do appearances matter? If you have a character that looks really silly and wacky, it makes it all the more badass when they do badass shit. You know, like you had freaking Nemaya walking out, short dude with the glasses, and it'd be like, oh man, if he does something badass, it'd be cool. You got Korinji with his pompadour, you got Kirio, you got Sentomaru, you know, probably, oh wait, no, Senjumaru Shutara, right? That was her name. Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about One Piece still, Sentomaru, whatever. Senjumaru. And then you have Ichibei, right? And Ichibei looks like the big, you know, the awesome Mr. T looking dude, you know, full beard, walking on the giant sandals. He's like, ho, ho, ho. It's like, all right. Maybe you might be fairly dubious about the appearances of these guys, but it's the Zero Squad. They are the pump. They are the hype. And you know, I think even Mayuri said before they arrived, like, this is how much of hype these guys are. All 5 of these guys together, I apologize, 4 guys and a girl, well, the gender is still out on Senjumaru. Was she confirmed to be a girl? I'm going to go girl, but I know a lot of people were saying, well, Maru is sort of like a thing that ends a lot of male words, so she could be a male. I'm just going to say it's a ratio 3-2. All right, so whatever. This group, the Zero Squad, their combined power is stronger than the combined power of the Gotei 13. All right, now, Kubo, you're writing a pretty goddamn big check right there. I'm just saying that right now, alright? You're writing a pretty big check. But, once again, hey, don't judge a book by their cover. They haven't done anything yet. They're here. They're just introduced in the story. Let's take some time to flesh this out. Alright, so we get ourselves a training arc. We get ourselves Ichigo and Renji and Rukia and Byakuya all heading up to the Soul Palace to do some good old-fashioned god training to get ready to kick some Quincy ass. So we get introduced to Korinji first. Korinji's the hot spring demon, and he's the guy that is the master of healing, taught Unohana healing techniques. I'm like, all right, cool, we got a healer. We got a master healer, the best healer in the entire Soul Society. That'll probably go somewhere, right? And then we get Kirio Hikefune's next, and she can make all this amazing food. She can infuse the super Reiatsu into you, and then we find out she was the one that created the artificial souls and the Gyokongan. I'm like, oh, alright, well, if she created all this shit, then she has to utilize that in some way. Alright, building. Also, she has a hot, sexy, big busted form. I mean, okay. I'm surprised she didn't place higher in the boob poll, really. Because she is bigger, if not, well, I mean, I didn't judge for bigness, but they are probably as large as Rangiku's, maybe bigger. Okay, we're just gonna move on. I'm getting distracted by boobs. This whole video is just gonna get taken away. Like, okay. Then we have Nemaya. Probably the most hype, because, spoiler alert, he created the fucking Zanpakutos! Created the Zanpakutos! The thing that is like the cornerstone for all the power of every Shinigami. I mean, like, yeah, you have Kido, you have Ho-Oh, you have Bakuda and shit, but for the most part, it's a Zanpakuto. That's what the fandom loves to see about, oh, a new Shinigami character. I wonder what their Shikai and Bankai is. You know, like, so he was probably, I'd say, the most hype, right? So that was kind of like just a setup, right? That was what we thought that was. Like, all right, the training arc is just going to hint at their abilities, but later down the road, when they actually get into a fight, now we're going to see what they can really do. You know what I mean? All right. So let's, you know, we don't really get too much with Senjumaru and Ichibei in the training. We get like a brief flashback, but you know, we don't get the whole thing with Ichigo and like how they pass with the, you know, things like that. So a lot of the training was skipped over. And, you know, I'm fine with that, I guess, you know, whatever. I would have liked to see, you know, them all, like, Ichigo through all 5 of them, maybe, whatever, but, you know, okay, it's fine. So, you get to the scene, okay? Yuha invades the Soul Palace. He has Hashwolf and Uryu with him. He has a whole army of his soldat, which are basically just fodder soldiers. They're essentially just red shirts from Star Trek. And then he brings out the big guns. He brings out his elite guard. I'm like, my elite guard versus your elite guard. Let's do this, bitch. What follows is the most disappointing fight out of any hype group. This is why I consider this the most disappointing scene. Okay? You have scenes with Korinji, who reveals his Shikai. He is one of the only 2 Zero Squad members to reveal his Shikai. We do not even really get an explanation on what its full capabilities are. It's light-based, and that's pretty much all the fuck we know. Its name is Kinpika, and that's it. Kinpika, light-based, powers. We don't get any more beyond that. He briefly fights against Yuha. Doesn't work. Senjumaru fights against him. Doesn't really do much of anything. She doesn't really do anything herself, I guess I should say. She has her little BDSM squad behind her. Many people have thought, well, maybe that's her Shikai. We don't know. We just don't. I always just figured she has the ability to, like, breathe life into, like, her thing is clothing. So she can, like, maybe create an outfit, like a battle gi, and she can, like, breathe life into that. Or maybe she can have the Soul King breathe life into that. Something like that. I don't know. But I didn't think that was her Shikai. She used a sewing needle against Gerard, which you probably should have figured how that was going to fucking go down. But, you know. But, you know, that was okay, though, because you had this moment where it was like, okay, the Zero Squad are getting their asses kicked, but then it was revealed to be a flip. Like, whoa, that was all just fake. That was all just, you know, that was all an act. We were just preparing ourselves for the real fight. I'm like, all right, good. Woo! Kubo, I was worried there for a second. I thought you weren't going to do anything. All right. So Nimaiya steps up to plate. He pwns the entire Schutzstaffen. Everybody. He has a little bit of a trouble with Askin. Askin almost kicks his ass, but with a little bit of help from Korinji, he manages to take out Askin. And then, what does Yuha do? He uses Holy Selection, rises everybody back up to the challenge, face the Eye of the Tiger, and then off-screened. 4 out of the 5 members of the Zero Squad off-screened, taken out, possibly killed. We don't fucking know. Because we see Senjumaru, Korinji, Nimaiya, and, Senjumaru, Korinji, Shutara, and Kiryu. And then the next scene, boom, gone, passed out, probably dead. That is the last time we see them the entire series. They're gone. They're checked out. Now, Ichibei is the only one of the Zero Squad that actually had a solid fight. But no, you don't get to do that shit, Kubo. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't get to show off badass 5 Zero Squad members and only give one of them a halfway decent fight. Alright, and Ichibei's fight, I liked it. I really liked it. Yuha's broken-ass powers, you know, that's how he won. But the concept of him being the strongest Shinigami, having the ability of different words, utilizing ink, having a little bit of history, like he's using, like, hidden Hados, and it seems like everything Yuha's trying to do, like that time he tried to invade his body with Blut Vein out of Haben, and then Ichibei just flexes his freaking bulging muscles and just breaks the freaking blood right out of Yuha. Him drawing all the seals and shit, the giant hands, like, you know, talk to the hand bitch. I like that shit. Maybe I'm just a sucker for really over-the-top badass anime or manga moves, but I did like that fight. I genuinely liked it. His final move where he's like summoning all the darkness together to make that giant-ass Buddhist shrine, that was great. I'm fine with that. And you know what? if all the other Zero Squad members got fights like that, even if they, because I'm not questioning that the Schutzstaffen could beat them. I'm not questioning that. But I would have still have liked to see those fights. You know what I'm talking about? Now, I know what you might be saying, Tekking. It was like, well, you know, maybe just Kubo, you know, he ran out of time, he was strapped for time. That's just how it goes, man. You know how that series ended. No. That is bullshit there. Because the last time we saw the Zero Squad, the time they were off screen and Ichibe's fight ended, that was chapter 611. And I remember that because chapter 611 was the last chapter released in 2014. Kubo still had, even if, you know, that's over a year and a half. So, even if you want to rush it and, like, cram, I wouldn't have preferred you to do this, but it would have been better than what we would have gotten. Cram all the Zero Squad fights in one chapter. I wouldn't have liked that. It would have been rushed, but it would give us something. You gave us nothing. You gave us nothing. You gave us, alright, Nimaiya comes out with a sword. He doesn't go Shikai, doesn't go Bankai or anything like that. He just, you know, stabs, one hits all the Schutzstaffen. He's Billy Badass. And then the Schutzstaffen stand back up, and then they kick Nimaiya's ass. And then just everybody else is off-screen except Ichibe. That was a backhand. That was a fucking bitch slap to every Bleach fan. Every single one. Everyone. Okay? Because there was, I guarantee you, if you're like a Bleach fan, worth your shit, worth your salt, you're not sitting there like, yeah, I don't really care what happens to the Zero Squad. I don't really care where Kubo goes with that. No, because that was something that you were pumped for. That was like final arc maneuvering. That was like, I can't wait for the final arc. We're gonna find out about, you know, all these like Uehara's and Shunsui's Bankai probably, and the final battle, and something with Aizen, and oh yeah, and the Zero Squad too. We're gonna find out about the Zero Squad in the final arc. One thing you could have done, you could have at least had like a scene where all the Schutzstaffen were lining up ready to fight against one of the members of the Zero Squad, and then the Zero Squad all go Shikai, so we could at least see what they were like. Now you could say, like, oh, well, maybe Kiryo's Spoon of the Gods, maybe that was her Shikai. Maybe Shutara's BDSM Squad, that was her Shikai. Yeah, maybe, but we didn't see Nimaiya's. Nimaiya, you know, the god of the Zanpakuto, the creator of the sword. People might be thinking, oh, well, maybe that's because he doesn't have a Shikai or Bankai because he's the creator of the Zanpakuto. Bitch, that makes me want to see his thing even more! You know, what kind of sword does the god of the sword have? These are basic questions, you know what I mean? Like, he created the Zanpakuto. Alright. Well, what's his ultimate sword then? The sword he used here, that's Sayafuse. That's just like a defective sword that he was gonna, like, throw out or some shit. That's all he had. That wasn't his Zanpakuto. That wasn't even a Zanpakuto that he usually goes into combat with. You know what I mean? That was the biggest letdown. I'd say Nimaiya. Because at least with Shutara, it was like, alright, we got a little bit of a scene with Shutara. You know, I would have loved to see more with her, but whatever. Korinji, alright, well, he could do the healing stuff, the boiling water. We got to see more stuff with him. We got cock-teased by his Shikai, but we didn't even find out what it could do, really. You know, Kiryo. Kiryo had so much build-up. She was the only member of the Zero Squad that we knew about for so long. She was the only confirmed member. She had a past with Shinji, with Hiyori. She never had any on-screen connection with Hiyori, which I thought they were going to do something with that, but they didn't. You know, she was given this cool backstory, like, I created the Gikongon and the artificial spirits and shit like that. You'd think she would maybe have utilized that in combat or some such. You know, I think she used it to infuse, like, the Super Ryatsu in the food or stuff like that, or maybe make the Ryatsu tree, but if she utilized that in combat in any way, because we never even saw her fight. We never even saw her get into combat. Every other Zero Squad member we at least saw fight in some way, in some form. All Kiryo did was make the tree, and then she blocked a shot from Lilia, which didn't work, and that's it. That's all we got from Kiryo. We never even saw Kiryo fight against anybody. Period. I mean, like, how do you fuck this up, Kubo? How do you manage to fuck this up? I know this is kind of a depressing-ass video here, but I guess I'll end out by talking about what I would have done differently. You know, I mean, I mentioned that, but no, I had a better idea where this was going to go. And obviously, this didn't go the way it did. There's two things you could have done, actually. You could have had, alright, let's say the Schutzstaffen is stronger than the Zero Squad. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. Yuha's doing his holy selection, giving extra power to the Shoot Stuff, and I'm perfectly fine with the Shoot Stuff and being stronger than the Zero Squad. Here's what you could have done. You could have had the Zero Squad team up with the captains. You could have had, let's say, like Nimaya teams up with Shunsui to take on Lilia. You could have had Kiryu team up with Yoruichi and Urahara to take on Askin. You could have had Korinji, I don't know, team up to take on Gerard. You know, because after the Varvel is created, it's all like what, like they might as well have been dead. Like Oda, like Kubo might as well have just like written it so Yuha just kicks off the Zero Squad off the freaking off the Royal Palace into the freaking, they just get shredded by the barriers, and he's like, all right, cleaned up the trash, now let's make the Varvel. He might as well have written that, right? You know what I mean? So you could have had that. You could have had them, you know, team up with the captains, or you could have had them team up with Ichigo's group, you know, so maybe we could have gotten more action with Chad, or Ganju, or Orihime. You know, you could have had some stuff going on with that, you know what I mean? You know, either way, you could have written that in any way that maybe they didn't have to win necessarily. Like, you could have had Ichigo's friends team up, and then they, you know, get beaten or something, and then the captains show up and they help, you know. You could have just utilized these characters a lot better, because it genuinely fucking feels like after they got taken out, you completely forgot about them. You didn't, he was like, all right, whatever, the Zero Squad, whatever. You just completely forgot about them. You didn't mention them at all afterwards. You didn't have any conclusion. They're all fucking dead, except for Ichibei. Ichibei managed to survive after Ichigo called his name, so he got brought back. But aside from him, they might as well all be dead, for all I care. Like, for all Kubo cares, anyway. Yeah. Like, it's bad. I know. Like, I'm trying to come up with something redeemable here. I'm trying to give you guys, like, an idea or something, but I can't come up with anything. I can't come up with anything. It seriously feels like maybe Kubo written himself into a corner here. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make these Zero Squad guys. They're gonna be so badass, and then he gets to the point and it's just like, I actually don't know anything to do with these guys. I would love to see your notes on this, Kubo. If you keep notes on this, I would assume you would. I would like to see Kubo's notebook, if he scratched anything down, if he wrote anything down about the Zero Squad, or if it was one of those things, he's like a freaking college freshman that keeps putting off his freaking assignments, and then like, he's like, oh shit, I had that 10-page paper due tomorrow. That's how it was with the Zero Squad. Like, he just kept putting it off, like, oh yeah, the Zero Squad. I don't have any plans for them right now, but when they show up, I have ideas. And he kept pushing it off. Finally, we get to the battle with them and the Shoot Stuff, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I actually don't have anything planned, so I'm just gonna, you know what, I'll have them taken off screen, because no one will have a problem with that, and then we'll just move on with the story and just hope everyone forgets about them. Yeah, so, this was a rant. This was a total rant. I don't like to do just straight up rants, but as this is, for me, the most disappointing scene in the part of the Bleach series, I had to do it. So you guys, you can leave me a comment below on what your most disappointing thing in the Bleach series was. If it was the Zero Squad, you know, maybe explain, like, how you think it would have gone better. Oh, by the way, I also know that there's been a few fans, I know one in particular, that actually took it upon himself to draw, like, a redone version of the fights with, the Zero Squad and the, Shoot Stuff, and where you actually got to see, like, Kiryu uses her Shikai, and it's, like, a pair of chopsticks, and they actually went into way more effort explaining their different powers and stuff like that, because I feel like the whole reason you're a member of the Zero Squad, I feel like you kind of transcend beyond the regular captain. You should have more tricks up your sleeve. And like Korinji, he had the water, and he also had like a light-based sword, but we didn't really get to see either of them, you know, utilized in an effective way. But anyway, yeah, that's my rant for the night. Thanks everybody for watching. This is Techie 101, signing out.